Greenwood had a pop. Woodland spilled it. And guess who's there? Throw and support from Obadia. Alexander Arnold. And 100 Premier League goals.
Welcome back to the show. It's good to be on the show again. This is the FootyWit podcast. I know we've been on a long hiatus forever. Like last season, I doubt if we had any episode we recorded. But we are back. We're back, and we hope we're back strong. My name is Ahis Anthony, and today we have a couple of topics we want to discuss. The EPL Game Week 2 review. Chelsea, are they back on track? And also who dethrones Man City. But I'm not here alone, as you can see the gentleman by the side of the screen on the second screen. Chimamaka, good to see you again.
Good to be back again after a very long break. Don't worry, I think we had, we'll have call it sabbatical, but well, now it's time we are back to another footballing season. Good to have you guys again.
Yes, these things at times, it comes with the territory, because most times when you want to do something, but at the tail end, it just doesn't add up to what you want. But like we said, we have to just keep moving. Apologies if the quality of this video might be that not too much, but we're trying to get ourselves back on track. We're trying to see how we can get back to the normal way we used to do things. The technology we're using this time around is quite different, but based on a lot of financial constraints, so we just have to see what we can do to give our followers content, and also to meet up with people. A lot of people were bugging me, like people that knew what we used to do, like what's happening, what's going on. It's been a while I heard from you guys. I normally look out for every Monday your content that you put on the podcast, the audio podcast. I have a couple of guys that just listen to our audio version instead of them following us on YouTube, but they just listen to the audio version on Anchor, on Google Podcasts, and also on Spotify. But we hope to get back accordingly. So quick one, EPL Game 2 review. EPL started last weekend. We've seen a ton of games. The regular guys winning, the regular guys losing. Manchester United were the guys on the banter end yesterday when they lost to Tottenham. And also before this recording, Chelsea lost to West Ham. And I know you're a Chelsea fan, but what's your take thus far on the EPL ever since it's resumed, Chimamaka? You seem frozen though. I don't know if I lost you or I have you there.
I'm still very, very fully here. Well, on EPL, it's actually very good to be back again. We've missed some wonderful months of football. And yeah, we've all been anticipating the start up of the EPL, and it started last week, which brought joy to we the fans, we the lover of football. What you wouldn't feel to how do I put it now? What we would love to also see are upsets in the EPL, as we've always had in the past, because well, we have high-flying Manchester City who are grinding results, even if it's 1-0. You have Chelsea who are trying to make their way back to the top four, playing their first game against Liverpool. You have Man United who also won their first game. You have Tottenham who drew their first game as well. You have some other guys. Brighton is one of those teams that you can't just push off like that. They won 2 games on the bounce. So the top four actually is not guaranteed for anybody. We have high-flying guys who are ready to stake their name, who want to even get there, those who want to remain there as well. So it's been a wonderful first week and second week of football, I must say. There are so many things to talk about, but I'll leave that to when we talk extensively more on this. But as it is, it's good to be back again and having EPL every weekend.
Yeah, for me, the team that really, really struck that light for me for the past 2 weeks, so from game week 1 up until game weeks, this second game week, is Brighton, as you mentioned. We saw what they did last season with De Zerbi, despite losing his talented hands, despite losing his most intricate players, and to have still come up with such performance last season, finishing 6th is a good one, and we see that they've started building from where they finished last season. And look at the two games they've played already. The first game they won 5-1, and yesterday they won away from home 4-1. What's your take on Brighton? Do you think it's a team that we shouldn't just, you know, we shouldn't just look at with this kind of? Do you think it's a team we should not take lightly? When I say we, this is in the terms of the regular big guys, the big top four, the top six in Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, in no order. Do you think a team like Brighton should be taken lightly?
No, they shouldn't. They are contenders as it stands. Brighton 2 seasons back had their league best position after a very long time. Then last season they came and they beat their best league position after the introduction of De Zerbi into the squad as their manager. Now they actually are one of the only 2-3 teams who continued from where they stopped last season. What do I mean by that? Man City is one of those teams that definitely they are European champions, they are EPL champions, they want to remain champions. Now, I'll call them number one. Another team I'm going to call is this Brighton team. Brighton went all the way to 6th position last season, displacing Liverpool and some other teams. They are playing in Europe as it stands, and now they've kick-started the season on a very good note. High-flying Brighton, scoring 5 goals in their first match. Yesterday, they had a wonderful game. Despite the fact they are losing players, they are selling because they are a club. They are not as big as the likes of the Chelseas, the Manchester United, the Manchester Cities. But when the manager knows exactly what he wants, losing one player wouldn't cost you to lose the entire team. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you understand that. But as it stands, Brighton is no pushover. Brighton is no pushover to any team. If Chelsea, who has spent over 400 million this transfer market, meets those guys and they don't get their acts right, I'm sorry, something terrible would happen this season. But Brighton, they are no pushovers. That's my take on that. Because
seriously, they are playing fantastic football, and looking at Caicedo, for instance, I know he was part of the preseason with Brighton, and him being the integral part of that team, because we saw last season De Zerbi deployed him to play as right back when he needed to, and also deployed him to play in the area where he's used to, which is the central midfield or the number 6 position. And having to take that kind of player that was so important in your setup away, because he didn't start the league with them, even during the preseason, he stopped at the time training with them, even if he went to USA with them. I know he played in the summer series as well. Did Brighton play in the summer series? Did they?
No.
Okay, they didn't. Okay. But I know. Yeah, I know they had their preseason tour in USA as well, but I know Caicedo went. But what I'm trying to say is, for you to have such a talented player to have been taken out of, for instance, imagine we saw Man City yesterday. De Bruyne, we saw the absence of De Bruyne. We felt it. It was so important to whatever Man City does. But Man City too was able to grind the result and also win. 3 points is what is important, regardless of whatever anybody has to say. They won 1-0, they took the 3 points, and they are home. But Caicedo, Brighton being able to play effortlessly without Caicedo, and it's just so sweet to watch. But there's an integral player in there that I know if money comes for that player and that player leaves today, Brighton will feel that player, which is Mitoma. Do you reckon?
Mitoma, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I reckon with that. Yeah, losing Caicedo was a bitter pill to swallow, in my opinion, for the Zerbi. But knowing the kind of manager he is, he understands the game. He understands what a team looks like, and he knows there are players who he's in a team. He's coaching a team that you can lose players today. It's a selling club. They sell, they buy at the cheap and build the players and the likes. So this is somebody who knows already. Caicedo joined them in the preseason and pushed his way through for the transfer to Chelsea. Before that happened, they had actually started scouting for somebody to replace him. Now, I would use an example as for Cucurella when they lost him last 2 seasons. See the guy they brought in from nowhere. But this guy is
Mm-hmm.
solid. He's solid. Now, I believe the person who they are going to bring in to replace Caicedo will be somebody who understands the language that the manager
Mm.
speaks. So now you talking about the loss of Caicedo. Well, we know how important he is. For how important he was for Brighton. We know how important he is to any team that's going to take him in. We know that. But well, football is football. Monies have to be made. Caicedo was bought for 4 million. He was sold for 115 million
Wow,
pounds.
crazy.
That is
But I
phenomenal.
mentioned I
That's
mentioned
crazy. That's
Maitoma.
crazy.
Do
So
you think? Do you reckon that?
yeah,
I wanted you to analyze more on Maitoma because I know Maitoma right now gives Brighton a lot right now. We saw his performance
the edge.
yesterday, and we saw how he performed
Yeah.
against Wolves. Even if we didn't see much of him against the first game against Luton Town FC, because I know the guy at the right back gave him a run for his money, but later in the game he eased into
Yeah.
the game, but we didn't really see much of him. But yesterday and in past games during the tail end of last season, we saw how Maitoma has been very, very critical and important. I know right now Brighton wouldn't want to let Maitoma go, even for £200 million.
Well, I would disagree with you on that. Brighton is a club owned by an American, and we know these guys are investors. They are money men. These guys are
True,
guys who think
true.
business. If the right price comes in for him, I can guarantee you in less than a microsecond that guy will move. But being integral in that team, oh my god, that guy is solid. He is. I think they are building their attack with him involved. So I don't think it will be beautiful for the manager to lose such kind of player. I know eventually the right price comes in for him, he will go. It's only going to be the loss of the manager. It will give him a serious headache to have to start looking for somebody who will replace him instantly and click instantly. Maitoma is an integral part of any team. The what he plays, the what he's been doing from beginning of last season, not even end of last, from the beginning of
Yeah,
last season.
yeah.
I actually saw him when he was bought as just a squad player. I didn't see him as somebody who would be this important. Now he has come out there to tell the world that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
pushover. When I get my chance, I utilize it. Yes, he's coming against men who are also hungry to play the games. He's coming against defenders who are hungry to play the games. But as it is, yesterday he showed us that when given a microsecond, he would turn into something else. That guy is something else, I'm
My
telling you.
Toma is a player any team would wish to be in their club, right? Any club would wish he should be in their team right now. But it is what it is. Still on the EPL
Exactly.
Game Week 2 review, a big matter of Manchester United losing to Spurs at the Sports Stadium. A Kaneless Spurs. We all thought that Kane leaving Spurs could, open the way for Spurs to go on that downward spiral. But credit to the manager, Costa, his name keeps twisting my tongue. I don't know if you can help me. The new Spurs manager. Credit to him.
We are together
But
in
for,
his
for
name. Don't
context
worry,
for
we will, we
context
will
for
hit him one day.
context sake, you guys listeners and watching this, I'm talking about the new Spurs manager. He was able to galvanize the team
Yeah.
yesterday. I was a bit worried with what I saw in their first game against Brentford and the way they were conceding cheap goals, or not cheap goals, but the way they conceded, conceding 2 goals away, and it's been a London derby. I was scared for them going into this game, thinking if you use the same approach, this might spell doom because it will favor Eric Ten Hag in his transition phase that he always preaches about. And yesterday we saw what the Spurs manager did. For context sake, because I can't his name. Sorry, apologies. I don't want to murder his name. He was able to just show up the midfield, adding Sa into that midfield, playing alongside um, Beisuma, and leaving the attacking front three short and just trying to show up things. And Manchester United had the opportunities to have, killed that game in the first half. Now, we saw or we heard in the press conference yesterday the response Eric Ten Hag was giving. It sounds like a manager that is under pressure, talking about Manchester City, Arsenal being the best team. Why don't you just focus on them and leave Manchester United alone? When you start hearing such responses in the press conference, it shows the manager is under pressure. Do you think Eric Ten Hag is under pressure with the start of the season? 2 games, winning one, even the game they won at home against Wolves wasn't that impressive, and losing this against Tottenham. Do you think Eric Ten Hag is under pressure?
Well, I believe every big team, so-called top six or big six, every of their managers are under pressure. Truthfully, being the beginning of the season, what I would say we should be talking about now regarding Ten Hag is by now he should have eased off himself off that pressure. All he needs now is to make that team synchronize and become solid once again. What happened is I watched the game against Spurs. At the first half, truthfully, I didn't see much from both sides. And funny enough, you realize that Manchester United didn't have a shot on target in the entire 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea was the only team I know that did something like that. Was it last season or last 2 seasons?
Yeah.
But in conjunction with what I'm saying, Ten Hag shouldn't see himself under pressure now. It's just the second game of the season. But anything is possible in the Premier League. Who knows? He can lose his job. But I don't see him as being under pressure because they just they just added 1 or 2 players. So which means he still has the same guys he worked with or a chunk of the same guys he worked with last season. So there should be an understanding in the team. But from what I saw yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
against Spurs, it was a disaster class. Sincerely, Spurs manager. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrongly. His name is Ange Postecoglou. I don't know if I'm correct. If my pronunciation is correct.
I think you got it right.
Please,
I think you got it right. Agne Postecoglou. Yeah, I think you got it right.
Ange Postecoglou. So I hope I'm not offending anybody out there who has a better pronunciation to that name. But you pardon me for this. But I see him as somebody who is going to come and make a statement in the EPL. Let's not forget last season. From the club he's coming from, he never lost a game at home. So he has that. He's a title winning manager coming from not an inferior league. I won't call it an inferior league, but it's a league that also makes a statement.
Come on, I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Scottish Premier League compared to the EPL is two different things.
In comparison, I wouldn't compare.
Okay.
I wouldn't compare at all. But I'm trying to tell you that the league he's coming from always have a spot in the Champions League, which means something. I don't know if you understand. It means something. And for you to be in that league, yes, it's the same league that Steven Gerrard went to and was seen as a mini god. Well, probably he did pretty well. We'll take that from him. But this is a manager who actually knows what he's doing. The difference between him and the last person who actually handled Tottenham seats is the fact that this guy understands what it is to grind out a win, even if they are not giving you good football. Last season, we saw Bissouma, who was he was wasting away on the bench, and this guy came into that game and displaced everything that had to do with the Manchester United's midfield. See the other guy who worked in the Senegalese, Sarr, who scored their first goal. Yeah, their first goal. This has been a player who has been in Tottenham for God knows how long. Many teams have been longing to get him, and he brought this same person to play in the same midfield. Yes, I didn't enjoy truthfully, I didn't enjoy their midfield as well, but compared to Manchester United yesterday, they were a better midfield than the United midfield.
I think Spurs came into the second half, they came stronger, but in the first half it was all Manchester United, to be fair on Manchester United. And possibly it could have been 2-0 up before half time. But that's what EPL is all about. Take your chances.
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that. Their Spurs had Pedro Porro had a shot that hit the crossbar,
true.
And there was a return shot again that hit the woodwork. Mm-hmm. So there was this intensity in the game at some point. But the truth is, Spurs took advantage of it when they had the chance to score their goal. United never did that. They were dead all the way from the attacking midfield. We saw a midfield of Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and Mason Mount. I'm sorry to say this, but there was no connection. I didn't see any
Yeah, it wasn't
synchronization
fluid.
between
Yeah,
these
it
guys.
wasn't
So that
fluid.
was what
Yeah.
caused. So that I that was what caused there to be a problem up front. Yeah, I wouldn't take out Garnacho's impact. He was in the game. He was the only attacker they had there who was hungry to do something, but he needed assistance. So he couldn't do that all alone. So going generally, I want to generalize the whole game put together. United need to step up their game. They just need to do that. If not, somebody will take the brunt for it, and that is how it is in the EPL. We know how many managers leaves under how many matches. So I believe Ten Hag himself has spent already a season in the Premier League. So this shouldn't be a problem for him to get his team in line. That's me
Well,
on
my
that.
opinion, I feel the pressure is building, and I feel it's been here before because at the start of last season it was even worse when he got trashed to Brentford 4-0 in the second game. I think the first game they lost at home. I think the first 4 games was terrible. Not until when it nicked that win against Arsenal 3-1, despite Manchester United not
Yeah.
playing well in that game and Arsenal dominating, but them winning at the end. W is the important thing, whether you like it or not. The stats, ball possession, like my great guy, my friend, would say, Mourinho, when I take the W, you can take possession, take the ball home, and go and keep it at home. So, you know, they won, but I think from there the momentum started picking up, and he got to understand what he needed to do at Manchester United, and they ended up last season playing more of the games. I think compared to Manchester City, both Manchester United and Man City played more games last season because I think they got to the final of the FA Cup, got to the final of the Carabao Cup, got to, I think they were knocked out in the Europa League semi-final or quarter-final, but they played more games. And a lot of people alluded that Manchester United had a better season as compared to Arsenal, finishing second, bottling the league, not winning the league, and then finishing third and winning the Carabao Cup. So I feel he would ride the storm. It's just one of those things, but I just feel he should temper the pressure a bit down. I can understand. I don't know who they will be playing next, but I think he'll be able to handle this. So if you're watching us, you can subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, subscribe, push the notification button, and follow our content live that will keep churning out for 2023-2024 season. So we move straight to the second talking point. Hopefully our time will permit us. Chelsea, are they back on track? Before we started recording this, we saw the game against West Ham. A crappy West Ham, a West Ham that looked jaded, looked tired. Chelsea controlled the game, but they lacked the cutting edge. Is Chelsea, looking at the entire model, how they started last season, up until this season, the window, selling their experienced players and, buying young players, do you think they are back on track?
No, you wouldn't say they are back on track. First, there has been massive change. When I mean massive change, you're talking 90% change in the entire Chelsea football team. So we wouldn't personally. I will be talking as a Chelsea fan. Then secondly, I'll be talking as an analyst. Now, as a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't expect much this season. I have known Pochettino for a while. He's been the most successful Spurs manager in the last decade. So that being said, he will need time. And secondly, what the Chelsea team is lacking is a bit of experience in every section of the field. Like they have in the defense with Thiago Silva, they need somebody in the midfield and need somebody else in the attack who has that experience. Because you cannot bring boys of 21 years to come and do a job of men who literally don't need to run so much, but use their brain to play football. So I'm no disrespect to anybody out there, but I would say it as it is. I wouldn't say they are back. They are not back because they are yet to be a team. A team is when you have a synchronization of different units that can generate positive results. So as it stands now, they are not yet bringing out the result. The first game was a draw against Liverpool, which was a solid performance.
Which they
I would say.
dominated. Yep.
This game that happened, Yeah, we dominated this game that they lost against West Ham. The first half was a beautiful first half. As soon as the kickstart of the second half, they all lost it. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was no motivation. I don't know what caused it, but I know there was something missing in the second half. Now, going forward, I believe this Chelsea team, knowing the fact that they've lost a player today due to injury, that is Chukwemeka, who also was supposed to be filling in for a player like Christopher Nkuku, who has also gone on a lengthy
Mm-hmm.
injury. So now you see where the problem is. We lack guys in that position. All we need to bring in somebody who is not injury prone. That's the truth. Nkuku is having the same thing that he had last season. Chukwemeka also the same thing. So we need somebody who would work with the striker. The striker is quite good, but he needs a little bit of assistance, more assistance with him, and he would function well. But going forward, I see Chelsea for this team presently. I don't expect nothing from them this season. If they are able to get to any final, then they've done a great job. But as it stands, I wouldn't give them nothing, no expectations. All I need from them, or all I want from them as a Chelsea fan, is for them to sink in better. Then from next season or next 2 seasons, I can start judging them. But for now, nah, I'm not expecting nothing.
Well, I can understand, but naysayers and cynics will come with the narrative of you bought a lot of players, Enzo, Modric, and also Caicedo in the mix. That's totaling close to £300 million, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the squad.
More,
I don't know the
more.
squad cost of Luton Town FC, but I'm sure if you packed all their monies together, it's not amounting to that. With all due respect to Luton Town, but you can't take away the pressure.
Brighton up.
You cannot take away pressure. Pressure will definitely come. We heard, what's his name, Guardiola at the beginning, at the presser before their match against Newcastle. He said it, that if it was Man City that has spent this amount of money, a lot of people will criticize them. A lot of people will say all sorts that needed to be said. But we all here, a few years ago, we criticized Man City. We saw a stats that came out that the amount of money Guardiola has spent on his defense is greater than the military budget of some countries, the budget of the defense budget in the military setup. So what are we saying here? He got criticized. So I can understand. I know I'm not a Chelsea fan, but you cannot take away the pressure. The pressure would come. And I saw something earlier in the game today against West Ham. You could see Paqueta got into the head of Caicedo. I know a lot of people might be saying I'm saying nonsense, I'm saying bullocks, but when you are on that field, based on that price tag, that pressure is on you. All eyes are on you. The opponent want to nick one at you. Yeah. The opponent want to say words into your ears. And you could see at the time, when, I don't know who was talking to Caicedo, that was telling Caicedo, don't worry, I got Paqueta. Caicedo replied in such a way and said, no, don't worry, leave him for me. He now got to like, it's not me against Paqueta. I'm going to, Paqueta did so much to get into his head. But that's aside. They lost today's game. But can Chelsea, I hear you say, if they don't finish in top 5, you take it. I hear you say if they don't finish in Champions League, you'll win anything.
No, I didn't say that. No, I know. I didn't know.
Okay,
I didn't say
maybe I got you wrong, or maybe I interpreted you wrong. Yeah, no. Yeah, okay, your expectation is not high.
Make the top 4.
Your expectation is not high.
It's not high, but the goal is to make the top 4. You can't spend this amount of money and remain on number 12th on the table. No, it's not going to be accepted by anybody. No businessman will spend such kind of amount, and you are not present in the most decorated, most celebrated European competition. It's not done. You can't spend this amount and expect not to make the top 4. I'm not saying that they should go and win the EPL. No, I'm not saying that. In fact, I'm not expecting any trophy from them. The only goal they have from me this season is to make the top 4, and I believe it's an achievable feat that they can actually meet up with. It's so achievable. But the thing that has to happen is they have to step up their game. There needs to be understanding. Pochettino has to sit up. Yeah, what he played today, I could literally pick his starting 11 before I saw the starting 11. Due to the fact I knew that present and the likes, I knew from the beginning. Now, looking at his game and understanding his game, all through the preseason, I saw all the preseason games. We played 4 defenders, outright defenders. Four. But the first game we played against a high flying Liverpool who had a very dangerous attack on paper. And seeing that, I got to understand that, well, okay, if you're going to be playing three in defense, have two to support both attack and defense in the likes of Rhys James and Ben Chilwell. It's understandable. I would take that. I wouldn't question that selection. But against a West Ham team, you need more people in the midfield. Why am I saying that? If you play a flat four, you know you're adding more numbers to the midfield. Now, what we played today, we saw a Chilibida's Ben Chilwell, who was much more attack-minded, or probably is more of a goal threat than Modric started the game. Well, I know the intention is he should add to the attack and also support the defense. That is for Ben Chilwell. But today's game wasn't like that. It didn't come out that way. If this one doesn't work, try something else. That is what we are giving to him. The idea now is do everything possible to make there be an understanding with the team. Then as long as the understanding stays, you're going to grind out results. So that is what I will have to say about them. Yeah, Caicedo came in today and cost a penalty. He's human first, he's not a god. Even if he was bought for.
But don't you think that's pressure on him?
It's a whole lot.
Don't you think a young chap, 21-year-old,
pressure.
coming into your first game, having altercation with the opponent in Paqueta, and him getting into your head psychologically, and at the end you cost the penalty?
It's a whole lot of pressure. First of all, the price tag is going to weigh anybody down. 115, that's a British record for God's sake. So first of all, you have that to sort yourself out of. Now you are wearing a jersey number 25 that has been retired since when? Early 2000s.
Who was
worn by?
Who was the last guy that won it? Zola.
Zola wore a number 25 that we Chelsea have chosen to keep and not pressure anybody on that jersey. And he's wearing that again. Well, no disrespect to him. I believe if he feels he can carry both pressures, all fair, all good and well. But I wouldn't judge him from how many minutes? 30 minutes of the game. I wouldn't judge him by that. I believe he's a beautiful player. All he needs is to have an understanding with the team players and things will get out fine. But look, going forward, I will tell you that Chelsea will need to step up. Either, like Mourinho said, all he's interested in is the W. The L doesn't stand. He doesn't even want a draw. He prefers a W. How you get that is now left to you. All I'm interested in is give us a win. When there's a win, every fan smiles. The moment you start losing, every fan is ranting. So it's normal. It's football. We expect that week in, week out.
Wow. So from there, let me just segue into our last topic. Who dethrones Man City? Manchester City, phenomenon yesterday. We saw a Newcastle that were all guns blazing in the first game week, smashing Aston Villa to pieces. And we saw them against Man City yesterday. They were tamed. And, my fear is Guardiola is trying to come up with another ideology in football. We all need him to be the tiki-taka kind of stuff. But now, is trying to gain more control, trying to be more clean and more defensive. They played 2 games now in the EPL. They've not conceded in regulation time. Who dethrones Man City?